Hello everybody and welcome to VFR. Today we are here finishing up our flight Pan Am 431. Continuing service from Miami. Originally we departed. We hit Montego Bay, Kingston, Jamaica, then Kingston, Jamaica to here in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. We're now going to fly from Port-au-Prince over to, well, just a short 40-minute flight to Santo Domingo, listed on the Pan Am timetable as Ciudad Trujillo. But Santo Domingo, and then from there we will take the next hour-and-a-half flight down to San Juan, Puerto Rico. So thank you all for coming along tonight on this final installment of Pan Am Clipper Flight 431. We'll try to stay dry this time. We will see how it goes. And yeah, we will get it fired up. I do have a new control setup. That needs to be set up. So let's stand by real quick. And again, I'm setting up a new throttle quadrant. Basically, got a couple of old Cytec throttle quadrants. I had a pair of them, so now I have 6 levers that we can rock and roll with. Let's try that, and let me see if I can get this overlay going too. So hopping into our old friend, the DC-6, let's get fired up and ready. We're still going to be mostly full today. Let's pull up our fuel load manager here. And we'll take on a little bit of fuel. We'll go back to about half tanks. And a couple notches of cargo. But again, we'll go up to almost full passengers. And then maybe take it down to, I don't know. 61, 58 feels like a decent number. We'll add a little bit more cargo in there. So I hope you all are doing well. Here, it's been a fun time. Let's just make sure all this is working the way I think it is. Look at that, 4 levers. They're not going to work all with the gust lock. 4 levers. And while I'm thinking of it, what am I binding? Reverse thrust on this thing should be water rudder. Let me make sure I've bound that too. So let's see, left. I do have a button on left. We can do water rudder. So toggling water rudder can be an input. We'll make it this button here. We'll make it up. Or down. I'll just make it up or down. So this, again, basically, if you're not familiar, these are just kind of cheap axes, and I'm going to 3D print some different lever handles for it. You can get really cool add-ons for it, and then hopefully add on the I have a VKB THQ setup too that can work with all this. So that's props. That is everything set up and ready to go, but should be fun. All right, so getting set up with the DC-6. Let's see, what do we have here? So we can start talking through our route a little bit. Let's head over to the internet.
Oil coolers and cow flaps. Porter in position.
Get rid of some of this. All right, so here we are. We are at Mike Tango Papa Papa, Toussaint Louverture International Airport. You're in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. We're going to basically depart out of this valley here on a heading 117 for 70 miles. Until we hit the Barahona VOR. I'm hoping it's still there. It doesn't plug in Sky Vector, so we'll see. But 112.0. So let me get a pen and write this stuff down. So we're gonna fly basically here 115.3 Port-au-Prince, and then we're gonna fly outbound 117 for 69 nautical miles. So we'll pick up, going 117, into Bravo Hotel Oscar, and that's on 112.0. And then fly that one outbound 053 for 53 nautical miles. Now, I've added a little dog leg here, so I want to basically still avoid this terrain here.
Start engines.
We're ready to start engines, but we'll keep flight planning. So 53 nautical miles or about this way. And then we'll basically fly until we pick up. So that's 53. Oh, no, sorry. That's heading 101 for 53 nautical miles. And then we will pick up the 045 radial inbound to Higuero, Delta, Hotel Golf on 116.6. Flying heading 045 for 23 nautical miles. So that also gives us a good point to be kind of configured and down and ready to slow down. Now we will need to look at our approaches that we have available to us, and we're probably not going to have that information available to us in Sky Vector. But it looks like a roughly north-south runway. So we'll pick up the weather here in a second. So we are ready to start engines. Let me get a weather report real quick in Santo Domingo. And that airport is going to be Mike Delta Juliet Bravo. So, Mike Delta Juliet Bravo. We're looking moderate for light rain, 28C. Wind is 010 at 10 knots. So roughly along runway 1. Which actually works out pretty perfectly for us because we're going to be coming in from the south. So that's excellent. 8-kilometer visibility, 1,800-foot ceiling. So a little cloudy, a little gray. You can kind of see the storm starting to build here. So we will have to see about that. Now, as far as charts are concerned, have no fear. We do have Navigraph. So Mike Delta Juliet Bravo. Was that what I said? Mike Delta Juliet Bravo. Let's pick up Navigraph here. Looks like we have a VOR DME for runway 1, and that's about as good as we're going to get. So let's pick up, we'll fly the VOR approach. We won't get altitude off of that. We won't get a glide slope, but that's okay. We will manage for ourselves. 116.6, and we'll fly 020 will be the final approach. So 020 for runway 1. It looks like, unless they're telling you to come on out. So they're saying fly over here, or Wopar here. So they want you to go to the VOR, though. So either way, we will kind of expect something along those lines here. And we'll try a straight in for hitting that. But we'll use the localizer, but we won't have that 116.6, but we won't have any altitude or glide slip, so that will be fun, and that's all right. Okay, we will also finally be on the VATSIM network, so let's get that set up too. Let me check out the air traffic network control situation, and we are going to be Pan Am 431 or Clipper 431. We are DC-6. And we're being an IFR flight plan from Mike Tango Papa Papa, Mike Delta Juliet Bravo. Our alternate will be to go back to Mike Tango Tango Papa Papa. We're going to be departing here in just about 15 minutes. So I'll say 2330 Zulu. Time en route is going to be 40 minutes, maybe. We have about 3 hours of fuel. Cruise speed about 250 knots, and we will cruise pretty low. We'll only go up to like 12,000. We shouldn't need too much more. And then as far as our route itself, we're gonna, yeah, so I need to put that in manually. Bravo Hotel Oscar and Delta Hotel Golf. The Bravo Hotel Oscar, Delta Golf. And we are in the PMDG DC-6B. Let's follow that flight plan. Doesn't look like anything in our area. There is something back at Kingston, but nothing in Haiti or the Dominican Republic right now. All right. So that is about enough of that. Guys are probably wondering why we are not starting yet. So let's go get it. So boost pumps are on low. Check and make sure we have fuel. We do have fuel pressure. Engine selector is on number 3. We will turn on engine 3, magneto to both, and get ready to start.
3, 6, 9, 12.
Boost to prime, and let's give it some juice. I'm just going to equalize all my throttles here too. Getting ready for engine start on number 4. That's a good start on 3. If it comes back. Also need to, must have got reset in an update or something. But we want to make sure we are using the Bendix radios. Maintenance manager, the engines look okay. That's good. Engine selector number 4, both magnetos on. Let's start engines.
3, 6, 9, 12.
And we'll just rev it up a little bit. Get it going. Alright. 2 engines started. We can go to battery power. Plain battery. Let them get the ground power unit out of there. Both fuel pumps to low. We do have fuel pressure, so that's a good start.
3, 6, 9, 12.
You're taking a little longer to spool up, but that's not horrible. And boost pump on 1, selector to 1, both magnetos. Do a fuel pressure.
3, 6, 9, 12.
There we go. We've got, hopefully, 4 engines. All right. Getting ready to go now. Ramp manager. Let's get rid of the ground power unit. And after start checklist, please.
Start selected boost pumps.
We're getting the clouds now.
Off and off. Battery switch. Plain battery. Generators and inverters. Checked and on. Emergency lights.
I'll call up a tow.
Armed. Ground power. Removed.
We'll just push back a little bit here. Just give us room to turn around. Now we're at Mike Tango Papa Papa. Let's get some weather at Mike Tango Papa Papa. Mike Tango Papa Papa. We've got 26 degrees of rain. Winds 2 knots variable, so we'll take off the direction that we want to go. Mike Tango Papa Papa is... We should have 2 choices as far as runways, if I recall correctly. We could take runway 10 or 28. And we want to take basically 1-0 if they can give it to us. Taxiway's down here. Let me make sure I'm oriented right. Let's get some lights on here too. So a little bit of weather here today. Let's get some white cockpit lights. A little bit of weather. We are facing north, right? Well, let's see. We're facing south right now. Due south. So if I'm facing towards that, then we want to come out here and take a right. Okay, so we're going to go down onto the apron and make a right-hand turn. Let's tune in Unicom for good measure. 122.8. While we're here getting ready to go, we can also tune in our first nav aids, which is going to be 115.3. And then 112.0. 115.3, and we're going to be flying outbound again, heading 117. So heading 1. So here is 1. Almost. 12, 29, 8, 127 right there. All right, I think we are about ready to go. We're going to swing it around to the right. Try not to hit this frontier. And get on our way. So thank you all for coming along here on Flight 3 of Pan Am Flight. Are we going to hit there with the wing? No, we're good. We got room. Pan Am Flight 431 service. From Port-au-Prince to Santo Domingo and on to San Juan, Puerto Rico. And this will be a good short warm-up flight. Not too high, not too fast, not too far. And then we will get into it. Alright, let's just do a quick check. Make sure nothing else is in the airspace. Doesn't look like there is. We'll make a radio call just to be sure. Port-au-Prince. I gotta put my mic down. Port-au-Prince traffic. Pan Am 431 is DC-6. We're gonna be taking runway 10, departing out to the east of Port-au-Prince. So to go at 10, I want a left. So let's go here. This should face us west if my calculations are correct. They rarely are. And before takeoff would be a good thing to do too.
Boost pumps. Boost pumps on low. Fuel selector and crossfeed. Main tanks and crossfeed off. Autopilot and carb heat. Off and cold. Hydraulic system. Down, forward, pressure and quantity checked. Okay. Flaps 20. Flaps set 20. Windows and turbine.
Alright, and that looks like a 10, so just for our own sanity, make sure.
Dust lock released. Free. Potato. On. Mixture and cowl flaps. Reach unlocked. Set. Transponder. On. Landing lights.
So now on departure, we're going to make a slight right-hand turn to intercept the 117 radio. We want to stay to the right of that, though. There is terrain off, or we want to stay to the left of that line. There is terrain off our right if we're not careful. So I'm okay to fly out a little bit into the valley and then head notionally 116 inbound. Alright, so we are good to go. Let's do cow flaps to the takeoff position. Mixture full rich. We got flaps 20 set. Flaps 20 set. Engine's looking okay. Carb is cold. They will warm up here in a second. Alright, so we're going to set 30 inches. And moving 4 throttles unevenly. That's about 30 inches stabilized. And let's make sure, is my RPMs all the way down? They are. Alright, there we go. The joys of a physical axis. Alright, here we go. Well, keep it at 30 because I'm not being a very good pilot. So, I believe we're going to need a wet takeoff here. We're at 93, so let's take a wet takeoff, yeah. Auto feather is armed. We'll turn on all of our water injection. And get ready to go. So let's go up to... ...68 or so. Full power set. And away we go. Airspeed's alive. And that's 80 knots. There's about 100, so we'll start thinking about lifting into the air. Performance not great here. Let's pause the rate. Gear up. Looking at 160 now, so that's pretty good. We'll bring flaps up to 10. Let the airspeed keep building. And here comes flaps 20. Let's get some window heat on just in case. And come back on the power off of that to METO power. So that's METO power set. Let's not stall out. Keep flying runway heading. And then we'll make a right-hand turn to 117. It's good. We'll set 2400 RPM. And here is where it gets a little tricky. We'll have to keep an eye on vertical speed and a few other things at the same time. But we are away. A little rainbow there. As we fly out through Port-au-Prince. Oh, that would have been a big mistake. 117, not 170. So we're looking for 117 and just basically flying the flying directly away from it. So let's come left again. Climbing through 2,000, and we're clear of terrain at about 9,800, according to the World VFR chart. So I do just want to err on the side of caution here. And we'll set 40 inches. Manifold pressure. And climb out again. If we want to mess up, we want to mess up to the left. Because we have more air to work with and less rock. So we get to do a nice, dreary, cloudy, soupy departure here. Let's not drift to the left. Let's drift to the right. Or let's not drift to the right. Let's drift to the left. Fly outbound. Now, nav 2. Let's set up nav 2 with 112.0. We can also start closing up the cowl flaps a little bit. And make sure we're still going up would be good to do. No engines are feathered, that's a good start. And at this point, I'm pretty comfortable. Let's set up the gyropilot. The gyropilot's going to hold at 010 better than I will. And then we'll kind of gently come right to 010 and then 117. And then once we're at a pretty safe altitude, the terrain I'm concerned about is really around 3, 4, or 5,000 feet. So as long as we stay to the north of our flight plan, we're all right. But we should be clear about now. So let's come over right a little bit, just gently. And at this point, we can also basically just fly direct to the VOR 112.0. So we'll fly directly to nav 2. I will clear us for that. Speed getting a little low. Let's keep that down. Any other heaters that we need on? I don't think so. What's the outside air temperature? We're still above 10, so we're doing okay. Let's keep the levers moving forward. RPM still down at 24. And so far, so good. We haven't had to return to base or anything like that. Let's check on our engines. A little bit of yellow in oil temperature. What's wrong with oil temperature? It's a skosh high. We are climbing, so that makes some sense. Carb temperature is a little low, but our cylinder head temperatures are good. So let's add in a little bit of carb air. See if that helps the situation. Also looking down here at carb air, we are a bit low. That'll get us up to 20 or so. We could even go a little bit more. Climbing out now again. I filed at 12,000. That should be fine. We could even go a little lower at like 10,000, but Benjamin, welcome aboard. Thanks for coming along. And Jonathan, running an RTX 3070 today. RTX 3070. Which is good for most. I fly mostly on high, but dial it back a little bit more for streaming. She's a little loud today, too. But we are well on our way. That's another thing that should probably come up. Landing lights off and retracted. And we can turn off auto feather. Auto feather off. So thank you all for coming along here on the final legs of Pan Am Flight 431. Now, of course, this airplane would, in all likelihood, turn around and head back towards Miami once it got down there. Not sure how much of this would be flown by one crew or two crews. I mean, departing at very early in the morning. I think departure is like 8. But and Jonathan, you're on a 3070 Ti, which should do it. Yeah, and my problem usually isn't looking good. I can get it to look pretty good. It's just the stutters, which I think are partly bound up in the CPU too. I think high looks pretty good on most settings, but the stream is also downscaling, so I'm flying in 1440, and I think it outputs at 1080, so that probably helps a little bit too. And we're still flying basically directly to nav 2, so we can go ahead and formalize that. Let's pop in nav 2 1200. Let's let that needle come around and then just adjust the OBS knob until it's right on it. And we'll let the plane fly us directly to the localizer there. So let's go to localizer mode. We're climbing through 8,000 feet now. Air temperature's getting a little low. We shouldn't need any carb de-icing. But we might need to turn on our prop de-ice. And maybe the airfoil heater. We'll see. We are through the worst of the clouds, though. Not much of a view of Haiti and the Dominican Republic today. We're getting a little peek here. But yeah, Jonathan, I don't know. It's, I have a real problem getting it to look good, but it's the stutters, which I think is bound up in some other things, but also sim related, so it's kind of... I'm sure having a better GPU would offload some of that. But that's the other thing with this, with the sim, is you could dump... I mean, people with the highest end... I didn't hit a throttle lever. What did I do? What did I do? Oh, RPM, prop RPM. People with the highest end stuff still have some of those issues, so it's always an internal debate for me of how much do I really prioritize that versus other things. We departed now. Let's see if I can get to some toolkit pro. I'm proud I didn't use a moving map on that departure, but we did almost fly into a mountain. So win some, you lose some. We're the only people in the island of Haiti and Santo Domingo. I guess that's what, Hispaniola? And I believe we've actually crossed into the Dominican Republic already. Again, this is not a very long flight. We're about 35 nautical miles from that VOR. And then we're going to go another 50 miles from that. So really we need to start thinking about descent. We're going to be up at, I'll call it here at 10,000. Should be fine. We'll fly here at 10,000. And then... basically, we'll plan to be at 3,000 for the localizer into Santo Domingo. And we're not going to overfly the VR. We're just going to pick it up and a 020 radial inbound and go from there. We should be there at 3,000 feet. So 10,000, 3,000 feet, we need 7,000 feet plus 5 nautical, or times 5 nautical miles per 1,000 feet. 35 nautical miles plus 20 to slow down means we should, once we hit this VOR here, we should start thinking about coming down. So we'll give it another 10 miles afterwards because we have 20 miles after the VOR on approach. So it'll spit us out basically, and we'll turn 045 inbound to that. So good stuff. Again, a shortish kind of flight. Here's the chart that we're going off of, at least nominally. So we pull up the chart here. We could do this. We could fly this DME arc in, but we'll just vector ourselves for the to intercept the localizer here, 020. And then at 5.4 nautical miles, we want to be at about 1,700 feet. And then keep on descending. May need to think about ceiling requirements. Straight in landing, we need 650 feet. I hope we have that. We'll see. It's weather update. In Santo Domingo, it's about the same, but it's now showing VFR with showers in the vicinity. It's 360 at 5 knots, so the wind's still coming out of the north, which is perfect for us because we want to land heading north. Hectopascals 1012 would be good to put in. Of course, this is in altimeters, so let's just use our magic B button. We'll also come back into a cruise configuration of 30 inches of manifold pressure. And we'll go over to gyropilot mode now and get set up for the next stage of our flight, which is going to be flying heading 101 on the 101 radial outbound from this VOR. So once we cross over the VOR, we should make a slight left-hand turn and fly heading a 010 to intercept the 045 radial inbound to the Dominican Republic's capital, Santo Domingo. So glad you're joining us today on this this flight from, we're finishing off Pan Am flight 431. I'm just keeping an eye on that DME too. But this would probably be a cool place to fly around VFR too, do some low and slow stuff, maybe some Kodiak stuff. And that does remind me, what do I need to do? I need to make the poll, or try to make the poll, for VFR Transcon. So yeah, if you haven't seen on the community post, the VOR Transcon 22 is coming up. We're going to be flying across the United States in a sporty Cessna 310R. And we are going to, do that on a bunch of legs over the course of the fall into winter, potentially. It's probably going to be 6 or 7 legs. We'll see. But the big question, the $1 million question, is where should we fly from? So, where should we fly? Should we start? Transcon 2022. Now I added some options on the main community post, but I'm gonna X Washington because it's behind. So let me see what the actual results are right now. As of right now on that, Washington DC has 11% of the vote. New York 25%. Kitty Hawk, North Carolina with 36% of the vote. Miami, Florida in a close second, 29%. So we're gonna knock out DC and say we could start in New York, Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, or Miami, Florida. And each of those, I'll do preference to Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, New York, or Miami, Florida. So if you've already voted on the community page, you're free to vote again. But get your votes in for where we should start Transcon 2022. Where should we start it? Each one kind of starts you off somewhere different, and probably a different route across. I think New York, you can go the Midwest way. I think starting in the north in New York, you probably go through Chicago, and then west from there, either to Denver or up through the north. And Kitty Hawk or Miami probably take you on a more southerly route. So Kitty Hawk, I foresee us going through Tennessee, and then into maybe Arkansas, Oklahoma, before making the jump west Texas, or North Texas, I should say, to Albuquerque, and then back into California. But the Miami would be the extreme southern route. You basically hug the Gulf of Mexico, up Florida, up the Panhandle, probably through New Orleans, and then South Texas through Arizona. So get those votes in. You can vote again if you've already voted. Thanks for tuning in. And we got about 8 miles to go to that VOR. That VOR would be the Barahona VOR. Butchering that. 112.0, then we'll make a left-hand turn, heading 101 for 53 nautical miles. So some real good views, very mountainous island. And again, our route's kind of modified to keep us clear of all that and to get us going in. But so far, and I shouldn't say this, a relatively smooth flight, the PMDG DC-6. It is fun when it goes right. It's fun when we're not replacing engines all over the place. Coming up on it now, 1.1, 1.8 nautical miles. It's going to go around now. We're going to, and we're in gyropilot mode, so let's make a slight left-hand turn. Heading 101, so that tick right there, we actually have it now, so let's capture the, oh, didn't like that. Okay, that's my fault. I just did it wrong. Now you go grab the localizer, and we'll give it a couple minutes and start descending gently for our approach to runway 1 into Santo Domingo. They've got us coming in at 010 past the hour, 10 past the hour. That seems reasonable to me. Just giving a little more power to make sure we don't lose too much airspeed. We don't get into a high angle attack situation. 5.4 miles again, 53 miles. We should be expecting the 043 radial outbound or inbound to Santo Domingo. So we'll give it another 4 or so miles and then start coming downhill. So good been flying. I've also been enjoying the 737-800. Definitely. I broke down, picked it up. Good, bad, ugly. But it is fun. It's a good long airplane. It's just a little different from the 737, 700, but I like flipping between them. I think that's when it's most fun. And also X-Plane 12 making some noise. Might hear something about X-Plane 12 in the near future. I'm kind of torn on whether I will actually invest anything in it or not. It's one of those, I'm kind of on the fence. I'd be getting it really to get X-Plane 11 more than anything else. Just to fill in some of the airplane gaps around the channel, and then whatever you get with 12 is gravy, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like anything too crazy different. They're not really selling it to me. So I guess we're not actually in altitude hold mode, so let's start bringing it downhill. I'm going to bring the, we'll let it speed up a little bit. Set about 1,000 feet per minute descent. We can close up the cowl flaps a little bit. Check our gauges, green. Carburetor's a little low, but that'll get better as we get down. And we're out over the water. So that's matching what we should be seeing based on the map. So we have started our descent. We're 18.2 nautical miles away. I'm going to go ahead and go over to the gyro pilot mode so I can start configuring this. We're going to have to make another left-hand turn to a heading of 045. It should be down there. And we will do that. So thanks for coming along, for just joining us. We are descending into Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. We'll do a quick turnaround there, offload some people, keep some people going on to our final destination, which is going to be San Juan, Puerto Rico. Making our descent now. Again, 50 miles or so. We'll be looking to pick up the 045 radial inbound to our final VOR, which is going to be 116.6. And we'll get that tuned up and ready to go. 116.6 on nav 2. And we'll put it in nav 2 so we can see when we are capturing it actually. All right, so some details about the airport. We've got a taxi diagram. Let's see. We got runway 010. It's a pretty short runway. 5,443 feet. We've got a small FBO terminal there. So we'll make sure we get it down under the ground elevation is 40 feet. All right, we'll start thinking about swapping our comms and nav frequencies. So let's go over to nav 2, and we'll put nav 1 back on that. Make sure we're still flying away from it. Also descending a little slower than I wanted to. We'll just make sure we get down so we can start slowing down. I'll bring the power back a bit. Just gently. And then we're set up for the 040 radial. Inbound is the idea. And we want to look in at nav 2 too. And you can see the direction to the airport. That'll be helpful here. It looks like the weather's cleared up a little bit, so that's looking good. We're down to 4,300 feet descending through that. All looking good, so thanks for coming along. We are getting ready to shoot our final approach into Santo Domingo. We'll turn it around and then keep on going to San Juan, Puerto Rico. Here in the PMDG DC-6. And so far, it's been a nice, uneventful flight, but we haven't gotten to the end yet. All right, so let's make this left-hand turn. Right about now, we're hitting 53 nautical miles. Might even be a little late, but that's all right. Making the turn now, and that right there is going to be about 3,000 feet, so that all happens pretty quickly. We'll capture the altitude there and get ready to go. So we'll open up the cowl flaps a little bit. Get ready for the descent. We'll let the speed come down, 175 knots. We'll start dirtying up the airplane. We'll start out with flaps 20 and then get going from there. We're also on the localizer now, so let's flip over back to our... we're 28 miles away, which is about where we should be. The final approach course is going to be about 200, or about 020. It's holding 3,000 feet now again. 5.4 nautical miles from the 5.4 DME. We're going to be basically wanting to be at 1,700 feet. So we will let this keep coming down, let the speed keep coming down. Looking at hitting now about 185 now, that's 180 coming up. Looking good, and let's keep an eye out with the Mark 1 eyeball for the runway too. 23 nautical miles. And we'll tune in 020 here for that final approach course. So we'll have to come a little bit to the right, which we will do. Getting ready to go here. So we got flaps. We are down below 175. So let's give it flaps 10, flaps 20. Bring the power back up a little bit to 25-ish. Miles again, about 10 miles. We'll kind of start to shoot to intercept that 020. And we'll make a radio call too to make sure everybody knows where we are and what we're doing. And this is about where we are in the flight. We're on this final leg here. Just over. The final approach course is going to be out here a little bit. So we'll come in to the right and then just kind of swoop in for that final approach. So coming on downhill. Nice hearing. A GA flight, maybe a GA flight around these islands would be a fun thing to do one of these days. Speed's good. It is very interesting. I wish there were better VFR charts around, but we could dig something up. $16 miles out now. Again, should be just off our nose. We'll set it back up into a kind of a dirty cruise as we prep to make this right-hand turn. So once we tick down to about 13, I think we'll turn right to intercept that course. We'll try and pick up the localizer, and again, 5.4 miles, we'll be managing our descent ourselves. 5.4 miles, we want to be down at 1,700 feet. And then from there, I think we'll just kind of, we'll fly it the way we should. And let's see, can we see anything off the nose? Not yet. I don't see anything, at least. But perhaps. Now, if you're just joining us, we are on approach. Getting ready to be on approach. We're not quite there yet. But getting ready to intercept the localizer for runway 1 into our Santo Domingo. We're down at flaps 20. We'll go flaps 30 once we're once we've got that course captured. So we'll keep it coming right here, just about. Again, want to try and kind of aggressively capture at this point. Now I'm also going to take this off. Let's pull the power back to 26 and start a gentle descent for about 1,700 nautical, for 1,700 feet. Just trying to keep an eye out. That might be it out there, if you see that speck. Starting to get the localizer coming in now, so let's make a left-hand turn. Left-hand turn now. It didn't like that. That was my fault. So let's hand fly. Taking control. So let's keep that speed down too. We'll go flaps 30. And just trying to keep a manageable rate of descent at this point. And that should be our runway right off our nose. So let's go gear down. We've got flaps 20 now. Let's go flaps 30. And keep the descent going now. I'm going to set... We're basically going to set 100 BMEP. $2,500 RPM, and let's go flaps 40 and maybe even 50. We need some help getting down. But we don't want to bleed off all our speed. So here we go. We're on our approach. So far, so good. We're looking all right. 5.4 miles. We want to be at 1,700 feet. And we'll just let it kind of go where it needs to go. Now, no ILS on this one, just a localizer. So we have some lateral direction, but we do not have any vertical guidance. So here we're going to bring flaps up a little bit. We're hitting we're hitting their 1,700 feet. Or about, so I just want to keep some speed up, make sure we don't bleed off all our speed, get into a bad position. Again, wind, last I checked, was coming straight from the north, which is good for us. We're landing runway 1, wind was 360, I think at like 5 knots. But pretty variable. There were some storms in when we departed, but they've mostly cleared up. That's 5.8. We're a little low, but not terrible. And at this point, we're just flying visually, purely visually. Keeping it going now, descending on into Santo Domingo. We'll hit that flaps 40 and try to keep the descent rate between 0.5 and 1,000 feet per minute. Let's keep our power down 100 BMEP or so. It's much harder to manage 4 independent throttle levers, especially when they don't exactly line up. We're trying to manage descent speed, and this should put us where we want to be. Alright, so gear is down. Landing lights can come out. We'll open up the cowl flaps in case we need to go around. And we need to keep the descent going. Split flaps 5 now, full flaps. And just a little bit even more. Let's go down to 90. Spidey senses were a little high, but manageable. We do want to get down relatively quickly here. I have bound water rudder, so we can hopefully use some reverse thrust. So feeling good. We're a little fast, but that's all right. We've got full flaps out. Flaps 50. Just make sure of that while I say that. And we're coming in. Still a little hot, still a little high. Still a little hot, still a little high. Gear is down. 3 green. Now we're talking. Okay. Adding a little power back in. A little low here on final. People picking stuff off the tree branches. Here it comes. A little hard. Little bounce. Water rudders. And we made it. Welcome everybody to Santo Domingo. Little hard, but hey, we made it down short runway, so we will take it. So we'll taxi on up. Let's let some people off the airplane here in Santo Domingo. We'll shut down the engines, do a quick turnaround, and then we're on to San Juan, Puerto Rico. Good stuff. So decent flight, decent approach. Landing was a little hard, just didn't flare. I think we did a good job of bleeding the speed off, that extra speed that we had. But yeah, just kind of that last little bit before touchdown, I think. Not panicked, but got a little nervous and we put it down. That's all right. So let's taxi on up. Everything else worked well though, so that's good. So we're off the runway. Uh-oh, I got catastrophic something on the other engine. Carb temperature. Why is there catastrophic carb temperature? Oh, because it doesn't like my carb heat? Let's see what that did. We're still green checks, so that's all right. Let's get the after landing. Let's open up the window because we can.
After landing checks complete.
Not going to shut the engines down? Alright, I'll do it. That's fine. Keep all that off. That's fine. All good? Alright. Welcome, everybody. No ground power connected, so let's connect ground power. And get the stairs out. And I'm assuming this would be a pretty popular leg, so let's go 68 passengers and a bunch of cargo. We shouldn't need much more fuel, but I'll take a little top off here. In fact, I'll just take an extra little bit in the aux tanks. Set up? All right. So we will deboard the airplane real quick while I load up the next flight. Which is going to be Mike. Oh, I must have mislabeled that. So we're here at Joaquin Balaguer Airport. Mike Delta Juliet Bravo. We're going to head out from there. Basically, due east for 91 nautical miles to the Punta Cana VOR 112.7. So let's get this up and talk through this while we're sitting here. So, we just arrived here. We flew here to here. Now we're going to fly the rest of the way. So, Santo Domingo, we're going to depart out probably to the north, make a right-hand turn to intercept this radial, and then fly outbound to Punta Cana. Then we'll make a jump over the water from Punta Cana, light right-hand turn, 106, to Bravo, Quebec, November here on 113.5, and basically just keep flying in until we hit Luis Munoz Marin International Airport. Tango Juliet, Sierra Juliet. Now we should have an ILS, I'm not going to say that. Tango Sierra Juliet Sierra. Tango Juliet Sierra Juliet. Let's try that. So San Juan Airport. We have a couple runway choices, 28 and 10 in east-west, and we have a runway 8 and 26, which is slightly longer, 10,000 feet. Apron in the center. Now, here's the runway, in case you're interested. Approaches, we have an ILS for 8, which would be kind of our preferred based on the direction of flight, or an ILS for 10, which would work just fine too. But we can go the other way with our navs. So we would need to basically do a circle land off of the ILS here. Not preferred, but that would be fine. Let's check the weather in San Juan, which is Tango Juliet Sierra Juliet. VFR 29.4 Celsius. That should be back in Fahrenheit. How do I do this? I wonder how I change it to Fahrenheit. 9 knots, 060 at 9 is the wind. 1013 hectopascals. Looks like good visibility. So thank you all for coming along. I'm going to top off my drink. And while we do this, we will be right back with the continuation of Pan Am Flight 431, the final leg, from here in Santo Domingo all the way to San Juan. So Santo Domingo to San Juan. All right, we are back. Let's get boarded and ready to go. So we are getting ready here. Pan Am Flight 431, final leg. We are heading from, let me write all this stuff down one more time for my own benefit. We're going to be departing out of the VR we have on now, which is, ready for a stream of numbers, 116.6. And that's Delta Hotel Golf, outbound 102, 91 nautical miles. We're going to be heading directly towards the Punta Cana VR, Papa November Alpha on 112.7, 112.7, Papa November Alpha. And from there, we're going to head 106 for 73 nautical miles over the water. Once we pass Punta Cana, we're going to head to Bravo Quebec in November. 113.5. And that's going to be 103. 63 nautical miles. And then into San Juan, we'll plan for runway 10, which is going to have a localizer of 101, final course of 101. What did I say the wind was? Is the wind going to be a problem for us? Not really. 9 knots, 060. ILS on 109.7. San Juan VOR is going to be 114.0. So that's a word and number soup. Let's get some of that punched in. 1166. 1127. 1127, and then the second one we should put in there is going to be 113.5. So we've gotten our load basically ready to go. Let's get the guys redo their pre-flight and get ready to go. Snip Twin Otter would be a great plane to fly around here. Float plane version. I mean, they do it in real life. That would be a fun one. Maybe a Twin Otter road trip. Thanks for coming along, Snip. Welcome aboard. So let's get this thing fired up. Are we stuck?
Cockpit pre-flight. Start selected boost pumps. Cockpit pre-flight.
Not a good start. Okay. I'm going to reset this just because we don't want it to be wonky when we go to fly. So let me reload the sim from here, and then we will get on our way. Stand by real quick. All right, welcome back. It's a little later than I want it to be. Let's check in and see. We got live weather. Now this would actually probably depart around 12:30 and get in around, or maybe a little earlier, but get in around 1:35 in the afternoon. So let's get set up and ready to go. Redoing what we did. Fuel and load manager. Let's go. Let's take the tops off here. And we'll just add some reserve fuel in the aux tanks. We're going to be pretty heavy today. This is going to be a pretty full flight. 97,000 pounds gross weight. And let's get set up before start.
Tested.
Oil coolers and cow flaps.
Auto and position.
Fuel and fluids.
Checked.
Pressurization.
Set.
Manifold and duct pressure.
Checked.
Radios.
I'll have to reset that, don't I? Yeah. The 1166. Let's rattle off more VORs.
Doors and hatches.
Closed.
Door warning lights.
Out.
Gear pins.
Removed. 3 on board.
Seat belts and pedals.
Adjusted.
Throttles.
Set to idle.
Propellers.
Forward and 3. Before start checks complete.
Start engines.
All right. So ready to go. We got boost pump 3, select stir 3. Let's go. Magnetos to both. Check fuel. We got fuel. Let's do it.
3, 6, 9, 12.
That's engine 3. Let's get engine 4. And if you're just joining us, we're getting ready to depart for departing for San Juan, Puerto Rico, here in Santo Domingo. Yeah, Snip, that's usually what happens to me too. I don't know which one it is. It might be, I guess, prop RPM? Could be. I don't know. 4 both. Let's do it.
3, 6, 9, 12.
Boost prime and go. Let's get those both into auto rich. So that's 2 engines. Let's give it a third. Low. But getting ready to go here. But if you're just joining us, we're getting ready to go. Don't forget to vote in the poll, the channel poll. Decide where we're going to start the Transcon. So the VFR Transcon, I've narrowed it down to 3 possible starts for our general aviation flight across the United States. It'll be on VATSIM and it'll be on stream. So that's our next project after this one. VFR Transcon. Make sure you vote. Looks like, I'm not sure who's winning that right now. Looks like it's a dead heat between New York and Miami, with Kitty Hawk coming in second at the moment. Kitty Hawk is leading on the channel poll, on the community poll. So I will aggregate those results. But if you've already voted on the community poll, you feel free to vote again here. That's what you get for watching the stream, a double vote.
3, 6, 9, 12.
Alright, so that's all good. We are started up.
Start selected. Boost pump.
So yeah, I was looking at my control snip, and I think it might have been one of the lights that I have on the Honeycomb Alpha. So maybe that's what's throwing them,
Generators and inverters.
but I'm not sure.
On.
Emergency lights.
Armed.
Ground power.
Removed. After start checks complete.
Kind of in that awkward RPM range, but that's all right. So getting ready to go. Our first radio, we're going to be flying outbound 102. So let's get 102 in here. I don't know why it's doing that. It's not really where I want to be. Alright, so let's take the parking brake off, start taxiing, and let them run them before takeoff.
Boost pumps on low. Fuel selector and crossfeed. Main tanks and crossfeed off. Autopilot and carb heat. Off and cold. Hydraulic system. Down, forward, pressure and quantity checked. Okay. Flaps 20. Flaps set 20. Windows and turbine.
And again, if you missed the very start, we are experimenting with some new controls where I got 4 levers now, so that's fun. But it's just another animal, making sure they're all even and evened up.
Dust lock released. Free. Detonator.
Alright, so that's good. We'll let them finish up. And get ready to go.
Tail flaps. Reach unlocked. Set. Transponder.
Now I'll take all the runway I can get on this one.
On. Landing lights. Extended and on. Before takeoff checks complete.
Let's do it. So 97,000 pounds. We're going to need a wet takeoff today, so let's go ahead and set up our water injection. Boost pumps are on low. Cowl flaps we will set to the takeoff position. These are on backwards on which one's high and which one's low, so let's just do that. Santo Domingo traffic, Pan Am 431, we're DC-6, taking runway 1. We're going to be departing out to the east, Santo Domingo, back taxiing. Alright, and let's swing it on this way, and we'll take every inch of runway I can get on this one. Wet takeoff, water injection on. We're going to set 30 inches, let it stabilize, and then go full power. Here's 59.9 or the red line on the BMEP that we dare. I'll even go into the dirt a little bit here. We've about 6,000, a little under 5,800 feet of runway. So we will have to be expeditious in getting off the runway. We do have runway 1, that's a good sign. So that'll do. Alright. So we're here on the runway. Let's set 30 inches. .30 inches stabilized. Cowl flaps are set. We're going to set full power. See those green lights going? We've got water injection. Let's get the right engines to come up all the way. And we're off. So getting off the runway, we're going to make a right hand turn to basically capture that that easterly course. Airspeed's alive. Here's 80. There's 100. Let's give it not a ton of runway left, so let's just get it going here. Gear coming up. Have to climb out a little steep here. This isn't very much fun. Let's get some speed going, and that's just, yeah, that's probably not even a, I don't know that that's a big enough runway to go off of. So let's come out here. We'll set about 50 inches of manifold pressure, 2400 RPM. Really help us get climbing here. We do have power, so that's good. We might have fried an engine, I don't know. Let's check. Yeah, we're well over where we want to be BMEP wise. So I don't recommend Santo Domingo as a stop in your DC-6 tour. It's just the runway is too short at this weight. As the pilot, I should have defueled a little bit. Let's bring flaps up. See if we can make it the rest of the way. We're I'm still not under the BMEP excessive limits. Let's set flaps, let's set 40. 2400 RPM here. And come on up. So flaps now up all the way. Bring landing lights up. Start closing up the cowl flaps. And we can give it a little bit. We can bring our carb air levers up a little bit. Nope, not that. Nope, not that. This is where I need a second person. All right, so let's keep that coming up. We're still climbing, which is good. So let's start thinking about making that right-hand turn. To intercept the that 110 heading outbound, or that 102 heading outbound. We're at a decent climb speed. We're looking okay. Probably overstressed the engines a little there on that takeoff, but that was a little dicey for what we should have been doing. And yeah, so we've successfully stayed out of the ground this time, so that's good. We'll keep climbing on out. I'm going to set up a gyro pilot. Get them in, and let's keep climbing up. Now, I haven't thought too much about our cruise altitude, but it'll probably be something around 16,000 feet. Now that I can deal with them, let's pull it over here and set that up. Okay. Climbing out now. Thanks for coming along. We've just departed for San Juan, climbing out here over Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. We've got critical problems on both engines, so that makes sense. We'll just try to limit whatever damage we can at this point. Carb air, oil temperature's high. Carb air is looking okay, though. Cylinder head temperature's a little low. A little high. Let's open it up a bit. So climbing out here, thanks for coming along. It's been a fun little experiment. DC-6 is a tough plane to fly well without blowing it up. It takes a lot of attention to detail, definitely. But it is good. It's good. It's just one of those, if you regularly fly it, you can get pretty good at it. But little issues that come up can be tough to figure out. We're going to turn in even a little bit more aggressively. Really fly for this this radial as we climb out here. Again, targeting about 16,000 feet. Not a ton of terrain factors. On this leg, we're away from the biggest mountains. We are on our way, so maybe a Twin Otter float plane flight around here would be good. Twin Otter's a little slow, but it would be a good one. Trying to pick up the Punta Cana VOR. That's going to be kind of our jumping off point as we crossed over to Puerto Rico on that about 70 nautical mile leg. And we're back into the soup. What's our temperatures looking like? We're pretty good. We can turn on window heat. We're at 10 to... We'll put in 10 to 0. So on the climb out, thanks for coming along, everybody here. As we finish this one up, should be about an hour flight, hour and change. About hour and 3 minutes. With the baseline of November 100 Charlie Echo at DC-6 programmed into Sky Vector. I'm through about 7,000 feet now. But it has been fun to revisit the DC-6 a little bit more. Always a good plane to fly. But it's an exciting time in flight sim land. I feel like we finally have an abundance of good airplanes to fly. All we're really missing is the long hauler, and I think it's in a pretty good position. I saw the Coronado PC-12 came out. Still kind of holding out for the Simworks Studios one, but still pretty cool. 40th anniversary stuff's coming up 2 now. I can't believe it's September, so we're gonna have a lot of good stuff here in not that long a time. Get some DC-3 action going. That will be a good amount of fun. Liam, welcome aboard. It is a good one. It's a good plane. Yeah, but you're doing a U.S. tour kind of in the PA-28. That's good. That is good fun, which reminds me, make sure you vote in our Transcon poll 2022. It looks like New York is leading the way here, 50% to 25% for Kitty Hawk and Miami out of 8 votes. So make sure you get your votes in if you want to tell us where we should start that across the U.S. trip. We're going to be heading from Kitty Hawk to New York or we're going to be heading from wherever we pick to the West Coast somewhere. May depend on where we go. Snip, there's a mod to add smoke on the engine starter. Oh, really? That's pretty cool. I thought they were trying to do that. I thought that was one of the things on their eventually do list. That's cool. That would be a nice thing to do. I can never really see the engines when I start them is the thing, I guess. Because I'm always listening. I feel like I'm always worried that if I go outside into the external view, we can turn off auto feather while I'm looking up here. We can also turn off boost pumps and go down to something else. We'll keep it in rich for now. And yeah, so we're coming up here. We're still climbing slowly, but still climbing. I need to push the throttles forward. I'm talking and not paying attention to my climb. Let's set that up and keep it going. Aiming for like 12 or 14,000 feet, we'll say. But that would be cool as for videos and stuff. I'm just never looking outside the window because I'm always afraid the AFE is going to break if I go out, or if they're counting for the engines, it's going to break if I go out and jump back in. Sometimes I feel like they don't restart when I do that. Maybe that's an old bug. That's just why I don't do that. Yeah, so this one, Liam's going to be east to west, ending in the west. And then maybe next time we'll go west to east. Or we could even go north to south. Paolo, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. We have departed out of Santo Domingo. We are heading for San Juan, Puerto Rico. I haven't really been paying attention to my nav, so let's bring it back over left and just fly towards the Punta Cana VOR. That should be coming in. Or it probably already came in and I wasn't paying attention. So let's fly towards Punta Cana. So we're climbing out, and again, that's about, we should be looking for 91 nautical miles here from the VOR around Santo Domingo. We're just so slow right now. I need to keep power in. So we're just a skosh behind the power curve at the moment. So that's 10,000 feet. We'll get up to, you know, I'm shooting for 14,000, so we don't have to mess with superchargers or anything. And that should be good enough to get us the rest of the way there. It's about an hour flight. So it'd be good to get up and put the pedal down. But so far, yeah, New York, if you've already voted on the community poll, and our community messages or whatever that is on YouTube, you vote again, because you will you get double counts, you get double points for watching the stream too. But either way should be fun. They all kind of have their different, they're all kind of the same and kind of different, right? There's this long kind of mountainous eastern part. I guess you don't get that with Miami. Then you get some flat land, lots of flat land, whether that's Texas or the Midwest, or the Great Plains, or wherever you end up going through. And then you hit mountains or desert before getting to California. that should be fun. I'm looking forward to that. That'll be kind of a longer series. Probably 6 or 7. Let's give it some more carb air. That'll be 6 or 7 or 8 or however many legs it takes us to do that. We'll be flying the Cessna 310R in that flight across the, which I'm also excited for, using the state saving stuff with that. Should also be pretty cool. We can close up the cowl flaps, I think. Actually, that cylinder head temperature is just a little warm, so we might even want a little bit more open. So let's go all the way. Get some cooling in there. We have been climbing for a while. We're coming up on 12,000 feet. Airspeed's not great, so I'm going to knock it down even a little bit. Climb out a little more leisurely. We did have some drama on takeoff, just a very short runway at Santo Domingo. I don't recommend it. I don't know where they would have flown in on DC-6s. And Liam, you made the decision based on the Aero 4 or the 310R because you have this single engine throttle quad. So that makes sense. It's a good way to do it. I don't think it's not a huge deal for the 310, although it is nice to have the 2 independent. But I find it impacts it much more in the 4, in the big ones like this one, with the old school ones. But both are really good airplanes. I need to fly the PA-28 too. This is 12,500 now. Yeah, it must be. That's getting late enough here. 1,300 feet, 13,000 feet now. Getting up to cruising altitude, then we'll really put the hammer down. We have lost that VOR though, so let's just go over to Punta Cana. Let's throw that on nav 1. Let's just not waste time. Throw it on nav 1. And start counting down. 43, and we want to just point in the right direction. We're pointing off a little to the left. So let's just bring it over this way, and I'm just going to fly direct to. So let's center that, and then localizer mode. Climbing through 13,000 feet now. It's going to dump some aerodynamics with that move. And I'm about full throttle. Yeah, that's about what we got, so that should be good enough. Just the last little bit of climb, we can get into a cruise configuration. Pick up some speed. 13.5. We're getting there. Slowly but surely. And so we'll start thinking about descent here, too, in a second. We've got pretty standard 1,500. They want you at 1,500 feet coming in. So we can do that. We'll set up for 3,000 as if we're doing that. We'll be up at 14,000, which means we need to drop, what, 11,000? So that's 55 nautical miles. Plus 20 is about 70. Now that should work out because I think we have a couple 70s on our little route here. Yeah, so we got 73 nautical miles from there to there, 63 to San Juan, so I'd say basically 40 to 50 miles after Punta Cana we'll need to start our descent. So grand scheme, that's not actually that much time. So let's get down here. Let's take the altitude 14,000 and get it cruising. We'll bring it back to cruise power here in a sec once we get some speed going. And we'll make it happen. So thank y'all for coming along again. If you're just coming along, if you're just joining us, we are flying over the country of the Dominican Republic, getting ready to head over to San Juan, Puerto Rico. We're at 14,000 feet. Should be there in not that long, probably about a half hour. What's the overlay say? It doesn't know because it hasn't updated, so let's refresh that. Maybe I didn't save. Oh, I didn't save, so that's my fault. Well, now it's a little warped, but that's okay. Heading for San Juan. Good speed's coming up now. And don't forget to vote in the poll for TransCon 2022. We're going to fly across the United States in a small airplane, so make sure you get your votes in. You're currently leading the stream poll. Kitty Hawk has a couple vote lead in the community poll, so we will see. I'll aggregate all those results together, hoping to start that next week, but we shall see. Cruise speed's starting to come in 200 knots. That will do a little bit better. So while we're here, no nav 1 we can throw over to 113.5. And nav 2 we can throw over to 113.5, and then we'll throw in the local line. Well, I'll use San Juan for now, 114.0 as the backup for nav 2. But we should just be basically flying due east at this point. No great secrets. Start to see the beach coming up here. We're getting close to Punta Cana, 20 miles. Just off our nose. We'll fly over the VOR station. Then on. I'm not sure where the international airport is around here. I'd imagine we're gonna overfly it. And again, past Punta Cana, probably 40 miles past Punta Cana, we'll start descending. So in the cruise now, heading on out. But yeah, excited for Transcon. Probably do some more Boeing flying too. That is good fun. Wasn't sold on the 800, but all in all, I'm glad I got it. It's just different enough from a flight perspective to, I think, justify it. And now within 10 miles, let's go over to gyro pilot mode, get ready to switch over. We're going to be flying 106 outbound. So we'll set that up. So 3 miles. And then once we get, I want to see it from, we're passing the VOR station now. Just below us here at the International Airport at Punta Cana. can head over to the beach. Alright, and now we're going to make a right-hand turn. Nav 2 is, I think it should be on the next VOR station 113.5. It is. So that's good. We want to turn vaguely in the direction of that VOR station. Just gently coming right. For that VOR. Here comes the local on here comes the needles, so let's level out and we'll let the airplane deal with that. We're also pretty good, so let's bring it back to 30, give the engines a break. Got one cylinder is cold. I don't know why. Well, just one would be, but we'll put them all in the cruise configuration. All right, we're now on track. Let's see, what is it saying? We're saying, wow, negative 25 ground speed. That seems awfully pessimistic. So again, 40 to 50 miles, I think we'll start coming down. Out over the water, heading for Puerto Rico. So this is a fun flight. It would be fun to do in one long day, probably, maybe not. I'm not sure if it would be fun or not. But it's been fun to do now. So thank you all for coming along and tuning in for Pan Am Flight 431. Make sure you don't forget to vote for Transcon 2022, the starting point where the starting gun goes off. That'll be our one of our new live stream series. We're going to fly a general aviation airplane across the U.S. of A. Starting either in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, New York, or Miami, Florida. I could probably do the math. See what the standings are right now. So out of... Let's do a calculator. Interesting. Okay. So based on the poll as it stands now, it is very close. So Kitty Hawk leads overall 12 votes to 11 for New York and 10 for Miami. So again, if you haven't voted yet, make sure you drop your vote in here. If you haven't voted on the community page, check out our community tab on the channel and drop your vote in there for where we're going to start TransCon 2022. We'll be flying the Cessna 310R across the U.S. And depending on where we start, that'll kind of determine the route. New York's going to send us probably north along the Great Lakes and then across the Midwest, maybe through the Dakotas, maybe the Northern Way, or maybe through Denver. You can do either one. Kitty Hawk is probably more central route through Nashville, Memphis, Oklahoma, potentially, down through North Texas, maybe. And then Miami, I think you just do the pure southern route, hugging the Gulf of Mexico, stopping in New Orleans, and New Orleans to South Texas, something like El Paso. A lot of desert in the southern route once you get out of Miami, but still should be fun. Again, Snip, yeah, they are good starting locations. I always get hung up on the first couple legs, it seems like. I can get the first couple legs when I'm just doing it on my own for my own health. But it's just they all each have a slightly different challenge, but also kind of similar. But it should be fun. So make sure your voice is heard on that. And yeah, tune in. Probably starting next week, I think we'll start the TransCon 2022. We're at 30 miles now, so again, 10, 20 miles. In a few minutes, we'll start coming on downhill. We do have both VORs on either side of the water, so that is comforting. And they mostly even line up, which is a nice bonus. As far as, getting in there, we're going to have the localizer. We do have a full ILS coming into San Juan, so that is nice. That'll help us a little bit. And we will make the last little leg. Of course, this plane would turn around and head back towards Miami, kind of like a train schedule. So the old Pan Am flights are fun like that. Cruising along here, 30 inches. Everything else is looking pretty good. Mostly green on the engine page. For once, we have fuel. We do have fuel in our main tanks. So far, fairly uneventful. Again, by my calculations, we need about 75 miles to get down, 20 to slow down. We have about 63 nautical miles between our next VOR and the destination. Setting that, so say 20 plus 10 is 30. 30, and yeah, 40. So Let's just check. And 2, we're 33 miles from that one. So I think that's as good a time as any. Let's go ahead and start coming on downhill. I'm also going to switch us over to the other VOR real quick. And we'll go VOR 2 over to the San Juan VOR, which again should point in the same direction if we are on the right track. So 94 miles from San Juan. Picking up the needles now. Bringing it on in. It's cruising out of the Caribbean, heading for San Juan now. The final leg of Pan Am Flight 431. Good fun flight in the DC-6. It's a fun plane. Just requires a little bit of practice and continuous practice to really stay sharp on things. Sending now, let's get that descent rate coming up, and we will bring the power back to 26 inches of manifold pressure or so. And just let it keep coming down. We'll go over gyro clamp mold. Hold this one. So we should be coming up on land here soon, about 17 nautical miles, probably behind the clouds. Let's do a weather check here in San Juan. San Juan Airport, 27C. Again, I don't know how I switched this back to Fahrenheit, but that's okay. 4 knots, winds variable 4 knots. Clear skies, 1013 hectopascals. Coming now down through what looks like 10,000. Down through 11,000, 10,500. Might speed that up just a smidge. Just checking on San Juan, 75 miles from San Juan itself. Or drop down to 3,000, we'll drop down to another 1,500 to get on track for the localizer. We do have an ILS to fly into San Juan. Drifting off the localizer just a, or drifting off the VOR just a little bit. Other than that, we're looking all right. We're basically going to fly just up the north coast of Puerto Rico for a little ways at this point. So 7 miles now from the VOR, should be right underneath us on the coast. Let's keep the pedal on that descent. Now just off a little bit to the right. We're going to point ourselves towards San Juan. And then outbound from there, 103. So basically what we're doing now but keeping that power coming down too, important to keep an eye on. And since we have it, let's pick up San Juan now. And, or that's actually not San Juan, that's the wrong VOR. So let's go 1140. Just pick that up, and then the ILS on 109.7. So we're actually pretty bang on according to that. So let's put localizer on. And just keep an eye on that as we get in. Again, it should be more or less a straight in from this direction. We're coming down to 5,500 now. 50 miles to go. So we're actually looking pretty good. We can come up a little bit. No need to dive bomb. We'll keep it here at about 26, about 30. We might level off here at 5,000 since we're still a ways out. So we're level here at 5,000, cruising fairly low. And we'll slow down just a bit. Start helping ourselves out. We are in the soup. It should be clear according to the METAR. Yeah, still clear according to the METAR, so we should get out of this. And oh, there it is. There's Puerto Rico. Again, because we're heading 010, just a straight end should be pretty nice. These runways down here are kind of suited for this kind of hopping. East to west, west to east. So 40 miles, we can start thinking about coming down the rest of the way. So let's pull this down and gently descend a bit. Let's go a little more than that. Just getting ready for our final approach here into San Juan. Thanks for coming along. If you're just joining us, we're finishing up Pan Am Flight 431, which would arrive in San Juan after departing Miami at something like 6 a.m., arriving in San Juan around 1:35. We're going to go down to 3,000 feet, get ready, and then go down to the last 1,500 shortly. So still no localizer, but again, we will pick that up. We should be basically straight in if we fly into the San Juan VOR. We will get that punched in on nav 1 now too, 109.7, so 109.7, that's ready to go. Once we get it, we will switch over to that and start navigating by that. We're 28 miles away. I want to get down to 3,000 feet and start slowing down. We're at 2,500, so that's good enough. So just let the speed start coming out. Once we're below 175, we'll start dirtying up the airplane. Get flaps. And we'll set flaps 20 for the approach. Getting ready for our final approach into San Juan, Puerto Rico. Snip, you're looking forward to some African content. That would be cool. Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of cool stuff you could do. I have flown a little DC-6 around there. It's a good plane for that. I stumbled on like the only handcrafted airport. I think, is it Nairobi? I'm not sure where. But that is a good one. I wanted to head down to 1,500 feet. So let's keep it going now. Let's just get down the rest of the way. Well, maybe we should slow down the rest of the way too. 23 miles, still no localizer, but that's all right. Getting down to the published 1,500 feet for the approach. It'll be kind of a low approach. That's fine for us. It looks like Miami, Florida's pulled into the lead. Again, last call. Once we land, I'll close the poll, but make sure you vote for where we should start Transcon 2022. Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, New York, Miami, Florida. I think Miami has the overall lead right now, combining this in the community post. So go ahead and vote here, vote there, vote wherever you want. And here comes the localizer. Let's go over to that. So localizer is in. We've got it. And we are a little off to the right. So let's go ahead and start a turn and pick it up. And we're going to level off at 1,500 feet here. So 1,500 feet, we do have a little bit of terrain off to the right, so that's something we'll have to keep an eye on. Some of these turns will also help us damp it out. Conleth, welcome aboard. We're about to shoot our approach into San Juan, Puerto Rico, finishing up Pan Am Flight 431. We can see the actual airport down there. We're probably low a little early, but that's all right. Flying over the highway here in Puerto Rico. So we're now down here. We can go flaps 10, 15, 20. I think I ended one level. Once we get a little bit closer, we can start thinking about going the rest of the way, getting our gear out. We can see the runway out there. So San Juan, we got runway 10, 8,000 feet to work with. We will be off to the left as we come into land. We are flying the ILS approach for runway 10. Let's pull that up here. We're here. We're picking up the localizer there. We're going to be at 1,500 feet here. And then basically descending once we get to 5 miles out. So that's going to be the rough game plan for how we get in here. We're hoping to get a less aggressive landing, I think, and I need some power too. So we're going to set 100 BMEP. That's a little too much. Should be something like 26. We're in flaps 20 at the moment. We can even go to flaps 30 once we get glide slope. Gear can come out. Let's make sure we have enough power to keep speed up. 120 knots feels pretty good. We are getting a little high angle attack here, which I'm not loving, so let's go flaps 30. Help even that out a little bit. We are low and slow. Which isn't the best condition to be in an airplane. Landing lights. Coming out, we'll set cowl flaps for takeoff in case we gotta go around. And we are below the glide slope. So we need a little bit of power here to maintain altitude. So that's the problem, is we're just not maintaining. So let's bring flaps back up. We can bring the gear up if we have to. I'd prefer not to, but if we just can't maintain altitude and speed, that's something we'll have to consider. We're a little dirty, a little far out, and I just don't love this angle attack. So yeah, let's bring gear up. Just to help us bleed off some of that vertical speed without pulling the nose up all that much. So now I'm in kind of a rotten place. We're a little behind the power curve. Not really where I want to be. Not all the way. Don't need all the way. Just give me some power. And when you get behind the power curve like that, you start to end up in a situation where you go swimming, and that's not what we want to do. So let's get some airspeed, make sure we're maintaining altitude till the glide slope comes in. It's getting a little unwieldy at the moment. We do have the glide slope indication. We'll bring that in. Just trying to maintain vertical speed at this point. Basically in a dirty cruise. We're coming in for a long, well, yeah, we're still on an 8-mile final, so we're still really good. We were pretty low pretty early. We should have been higher later. It is a little tricky. I mean, autopilot without... I mean, it's the same with or without the flight engineers. I mean, it's real simple. You just, you hit this switch to this switch and then this to hold whatever attitude and position you're going in. And then if you want to hold altitude, it's this switch there. That's the quick and dirty of it. Let's get gear out now. We can bring the power back to 100 and let's try and do our final approach now, eh? Gear out. A little stutter. Got to do a lot of thinking here. So now we're a little faster than I'd like to be. So let's not overcompensate, but let's bring the power. Let's rein it in. And make sure we've got gear out, 3 green. Flaps are down, we're at flaps 50. We need to catch up just a little bit. On into final. Runway 10, we know what this is going to be. We've got water rudders bound if we need it. But this is feeling actually okay. A little slow even. So let's give it that last little bit of power. Messing with the power. Don't tell Rendazzo. Getting a little low now, so let's just let the nose come up. This would be a fun one to fly. I need to fly this one in a modern jet too. This would be a good fun one to fly. So yeah, we're getting slow here now. That's getting me concerned. So let's give it just a bit of power. Flaps up. Flaps up to 40. I don't want to drop out of the sky at this point. That's not optimal. So, but now we caught up with the glide slope a little bit. We can start coming down a little bit more aggressively. Hopefully gain some airspeed. Cow flaps are open for takeoff, and you can close them a little bit for climb, but then they're closed for cruise is generally how it goes. Takeoff and high power, if you need a lot of engine power, you bring cow flaps all the way out, or open up the cow flaps to let more air in. And then for cruise and aerodynamics, cow flaps in. And I think there's an optimal setting for these kinds of engines too. We're just a little, yeah, see now I'm getting dangerously slow. Not loving it. Not feeling great about this one. We're holding 90 knots and in a bad, if something goes bad here, we're not gonna do well. We're looking okay. Yeah, a little early, a little bounce. Wonder what that said the first time. All right, and we're off to the left. So we should be able to make this taxiway. All right, everybody, welcome to San Juan, Puerto Rico. 392, so it's better than the first one, but not by much. We're gonna taxi on over here, just on the kind of the outskirts of the terminal here in San Juan. But we have made it. So Miami, Montego Bay, Kingston, Port-au-Prince, Santo Domingo, and finally San Juan, Puerto Rico. Flying real flight Pan Am 431. Again, this airplane would probably load up, get refit, and go back the other way. Let's find a nice place to pull off. And we'll close it off. After landing checks, please. Oh my. It's yelling at me for cylinder head temperature, and I don't know why exactly. Oh, carb temperatures. Stupid carb air. I wish I had these bound. That's what I need. I need like one lever to bind all these carb temperatures. And I will add that in when I get the full setup going. So the rare Ryanair in Puerto Rico. We'll just pull off here. Not really anywhere, but after landing.
After landing checks complete,
Parking brake is set. Cut entrance.
All right, so welcome everybody to San Juan. That was a good fun flight. Good dust not getting some of the rust off the PMDG DC-6. We will revisit the DC-6 too. I want to do some Havanas to I want to do maybe the Havana to Miami. Some of the other milk runs Pan Am would do, and we can do some other ones too. But it's just good fun to fly some of these routes and get our feet under us with the DC-6. Conley, you watched the Top Gun? Oh, is that on? It's available for streaming now. That's a good one. I think I am done for the evening. This was good flight, but enjoy. Thanks for coming along, everybody. This has been a good fun flight, good fun stuff. Always fun to fly a gig prop liner, and yeah, we will see you next time for Transcon. I'm going to end the poll too. Looks like Miami has pulled even, so we will see what comes in the next week, but I'll start flight planning for the different eventualities. But yeah, so that should be fun. Tune in next week for Transcon 22, and yeah, should be a good, fun flight. So thanks, y'all, for coming along, and we'll see you on the next one.